actually three things. I want to especially welcome Mr. Nunn again to our committee. You are the walking definition of hitting the ground running. And already I'm learning things from you, no pun intended, because you're an attorney, but you're setting the bar high for the rest of us in terms of your energy level and just jumping right into the fray. So welcome. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
A couple things. One is we really would like to get more email addresses so that people can benefit from the mayor's messenger. And it's very difficult. People don't always want to give out that information. But please encourage anyone you can to sign up for the messenger. It's very useful. Or if you have email lists from groups that you would like to offer up, so that we can better inform everyone in the township. And we're really happy to have that information, and those email addresses are used only for that purpose. Is that correct, Mr. Quinn? That when we receive email addresses, they're used for that specific purpose and
that is
not
correct.
divulged?
Correct.
Okay, so please keep them coming. We'd love to inform more people. I just would like to respond to Mr. Goldberg's comment, because we really, and as I see Mr. Brazel sitting in the audience, it's very challenging to prepare for these meetings, spend many hours and days ahead of time to be as well prepared as we possibly can be. It tends to be, sometimes the agenda is dynamic, things are coming up at the last minute, so there will be times when we may not be absolutely up to the minute on every single issue, and that's why we have a body of 5 people, so that we can support one another. So we do try our best, and I just wanted to make note of that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Mr. Nunn.
Thank you. I abstained from 3 votes. I think you have a right to know why I abstained from them, so I'm going to put it on the record. Ordinance 1850 would have, Ordinance 1215 would have impacted wages by a family member of mine, and I didn't think it would be appropriate for me to be voting on that. 815 and 1015 dealt with certain open space issues, one of which had already been voted on in previous sessions and in consideration of it. So I didn't think it would be appropriate for me to vote on that. And I abstained from 815, which was an amendment to the 15, well, I'll say the 15% ordinance. And candidly, much like Ms. Johnson said, Mr. Goldberg provided commentary, and thank you. I felt like it was an issue that I needed to have some more information for me to vote on.
Makes sense.
And with that said, I'm happy to be a part of the committee. Thank you for the comments again. I take this very seriously, which is why I've been here many days and many hours reading through all these things. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nunn. Mr. Mancuso.
Thank you, sir. From what I've read and heard, the reval is probably about 1/3 done. Appraisal systems is coming to everyone's house. From what I've heard, they take between 15 minutes and a half hour to do what has to be done. I haven't had them yet, so I have no empirical evidence of that. Budget, as I had mentioned many times before, has 35, 40 moving parts in it. And I think the fact that it came to fruition is once again a tribute to Mr. Quinn, who worked tirelessly, unending hours, and Mr. Sisler, who participated in it as the member of the Finance Committee, and to Francine DeAngelis, who is our Chief Financial Officer. All the committee worked on it. They worked on their particular areas of expertise and committees they were on, and it was just a wonderful thing to have happen. And obviously, we'll have much more to say about it in the May meeting. And that's it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mancuso. Mr. Sisler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to first off congratulate firefighter Brendan McCluskey. He completed his one-year probationary period with our career division, and as of March the 1st, 2015, comes from a great family and a wonderful group of people. Our fire department, both career and volunteer, we just keep getting better on both ends with more and more volunteers that are coming out and people getting involved at the fire department. So just wanted to congratulate Brendan. I also want to congratulate Mr. Nunn, known Matt for a while, and as a lifelong resident and a person who has his family who has a lot of roots here, obviously from the late 1800s. Matt, knows the township as a prosecutor here for the past few years, but also growing up here with relatives that are in the police department, in the fire department, and in various capacities all around. Matt has a really deep-rooted system here in Morris Township. It's fantastic to watch. I had a lot of reservations about, and I abstained from the vote about the joint court system because of some of the financial issues that I had concerns with. And when Matt went in there, he made sure that my fears were allayed and made sure that what the rest of the committee wanted to do got done. Made sure we saved our taxpayers' dollars. And watching him as a prosecutor, asking him to train our officers as they go up in front of Superior Court, all of this takes time and effort. And Matt went above and beyond, did things on his off hours, did things on the weekends that were not required of him, but because he knew Morris Township and he knew the police department, he knew what we charged him with was important, he made the extra time. And I just wanted to let everybody know that those are the behind-the-scenes things that people don't know about what certain people in this township do. I'm proud that we have Matt Nunn sitting up here. I'm sad that we don't have him in the prosecutor's office right now. Matt has big shoes to fill with Mr. Rosenbusch's seat, but Mr. Petraka certainly has some really big shoes to fill in Mr. Nunn. So congratulations, welcome to the team, and thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, could I just?
Oh, sure.
Something?
Sure.
One of the things I forgot was to say, I'm proud to be sitting next to you for at least the next 6 months, if not the next 3 years and 6 months. We've had some interesting conversations. I have the utmost faith and trust in your thought process and how you feel about things. And I know that you are, like everybody else in this committee, a person who's totally committed to Morris Township. You care very, very much about the nuances that we have to go through. And I think once again, the motto that I learned when I was younger and I worked on Wall Street for so many years is your word is your bond. And I feel everybody up on this dais, including yourself, is a prime example of that, sir. So welcome.
Thank you. Well, first of all, Matt, congratulations. You, as I said earlier, you're going to make a great addition to this team. Lifelong resident, family has served this township in so many ways, and you're following along in those footsteps. And we couldn't be more happy to have you here. But you talked a little bit about what I want to expand on. You talked a lot about, after you were sworn in tonight, about how special a place Morris Township is, and how you and your family roots have been here, probably since what, the late 1800s, which is pretty incredible if you really think about it. And I want to kind of roll this into the budget a little bit. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Sisler, Mr. Mancuso, and Mr. Quinn and Ms. DeAngelis on all the time that they have put in on this budget. It's I've been there before. I know what it takes. I know the commitment, and I want to thank you. But now going back to what Mr. Nunn said, and I touched on this a little bit at the workshop meeting, and I think it bears repeating. Morris Township is a special place, and we do have a lot of great amenities in this town, and tons of neighborhoods have block parties. not just a block party here or there. There are tons of them, and we get requests for the police to close down streets for block parties all the time. And you may hear out there that, and you may continue to hear, and you may have heard, that Morris Township is a very divided place. Nothing could be further from the truth. Morris Township, as Mr. Nunn said, is an incredibly special place to be. And the balance that all of us have on this dais, and I'm going to include former Mayor Kathleen Highland down there, and you know because you've been up here, most of the folks out there, when they write their property tax bill out, whether it's paid through their mortgage or they write a separate check and they come in here and pay it, they don't think about the infrastructure in the town. They think about, what am I getting here in Morris Township? Every town has a police department. We have a police department second to none. We've got a second to none fire department. Our DPW department is incredible and have done a yeoman's work throughout this winter. But that's the infrastructure, and when we get increases in healthcare and workers' comp and everything else, we got to try to marry that into the budget. And yet still try to increase services, which we're doing, to this year a brand new state-of-the-art pool, next year the redoing of Streeter Pool, all of that being worked into the budget in addition to the infrastructure that nobody sees. Nobody gets it. They just look at, yeah, I put my garbage out on Monday night and it gets picked up on Tuesday morning, and they expect that to happen. And when our DPW health insurance costs go up by a couple of $100,000 a year, it's invisible. So it's a balancing act of taking all of the 35 to 40 moving parts, as Mr. Mancuso said, a lot of which are pure infrastructure, and we've got increases there. Everything from, like, our health insurance costs are up by double digits. They'll continue to go up double digits over the coming years. There's no sign of that changing anytime soon. And we're able to deliver a very, very fiscally responsible budget, thanks to everybody in this town, all the managers here within within Town Hall, and this group up here in making sure it gets done. So we do have a special place here, and we're not divided. We've got a lot of great amenities, and we're growing those amenities. And I want to thank you, Mr. Nunn, for recognizing the fact that this is a special place. I want to touch on Valley View and my thoughts and why I voted for that and why I think it was important in my mind and in my opinion. And I've had this conversation with a number of folks. I look at the land that was purchased at Valley View for us as inconsequential. What is that? Meaning that we're not gaining a lot of value out of that. Luckily, the county and the Trust for Public Land is putting in $900,000 of that $1.6 million purchase price. So the $700,000 that comes out of our open space trust, I look at, we're getting one key thing that is very important to this town, and that is that property is going to be deed restricted in perpetuity from the potential of having 18 lots down to 3. So that view shed up there, which could have 18 separate homes, destroying that view shed of that historic property, Washington Valley. And I feel that there is, in my mind, a certain fiduciary responsibility for us to make sure that we protect historic property. The property that we're actually gaining for trails and whatnot, that provides, for me, that provides the buffer for the surrounding neighborhoods. But that property, going forward, is not going to be able to be subdivided into any more than 3 lots. Versus if they sold that property to a developer, 18 lots? How many? 18 lots. That property could be subdivided into 18 lots. You'd have a community, tons of homes up there on that hill. And in my mind, takes away the historic value of that area. So I wanted to put that out there. That, in my mind, that is why, in my opinion, I was in favor of this purchase. I will tell you, if the county and the Trust for Public Land weren't putting in any dollars, I would probably not be in favor of it at all. But with the amount of money that they were putting in, if it were just purely for the land, there's no way I'm in favor of it. I liked it because it really preserves that area back there. Last, I just want to finish up with a little bit of a funny story, and also, as you probably know, the area lost a